Dr. Bishop.
We do have great weather here. Yesterday, I will say I was a little, thank you, a little thrown off. It was cloudy and cold, like the 60s. I'm like, I thought the first day of summer was Sunday. But here we are. Okay, we are back. We're going to pick up where we left off, Dr. Reed, with 3120.02. This is a policy that is dealing with the adjunct teacher, and I believe that
these are non-certificated people.
Yes.
With professional experience.
Yes, and I
To fill
believe
in if you have any staff shortages.
yes, and we currently have that policy. But I believe the only change to this policy really is about the required background checks needed for the adjunct teacher based
Yes.
on the new law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And that is in green
That's the, yeah.
on
2026, yeah.
the last page,
Yes.
where it says the corporation shall conduct subsequent background checks on adjunct teachers as required.
We already have the other.
Yes,
items.
yes, yep. So when we first went through this policy back in 2025, Ms. Kelly, we opted not to, because at the very first page it says you can select one, both, or neither, and we chose neither. So it covers straight mandatory language.
Is that A, B, or C?
So A, B, and C stays,
Yeah.
but under the bold, you may select one, both, or neither. We opted to choose neither, so we didn't choose option 1 or option 2.
Okay, 1 point.
And then the second page just goes into the
Saw that.
required language.
Yeah.
Yep.
Talk about the mandatory background. 1 point.
Yep. So I didn't see anything else there, unless you two have any questions about this one. Okay, we'll move to 3120.08. It is very similar. These policies mandate that the IHSAA sponsored coaches, whether they're paid or volunteered, be properly rostered and accredited prior to the student contact. So on page 2, you'll see letter E, where it gives that language.
Saw that.
And that's the ad.
Yeah.
Anything else in here, Dr. Reed, that's pertinent? I think it was pretty laid out.
No.
Yeah.
That was pretty self-explanatory, Dr. Reed.
Yes. Yes.
It does cover, it emphasizes our need to report if there are
Yeah.
any issues or if something comes back in the background check. So,
We already had that.
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. From there, we'll move to 3121. This speaks specifically to personal background checks, references, and mandatory reporting.
That is simply a technical correction.
Yep.
Verbiage, it doesn't change your policy choices.
Yes.
That was number A, wasn't it?
For this policy, for you two's reference, our current policy does not include C on the first page.
C.
I, J, or K.
C.
So we do not currently include that.
Okay.
And then on page 2, we have checked, should it be necessary, to employ an individual in order to
Maintain, continue.
Yes, then the superintendent may provide a substitute. We do not have either option. We get a choice of either one, both, or none, and we opted for none. However, on page 3, for your reference, we have option 2 chosen at the very top, where it reads, "The corporation shall pay the costs associated with conducting the." We also have option 2 down toward middle of the page, where it says, "The corporation shall pay the costs." Again, that's squared away. And then towards the bottom, we have, "The board requires an expanded child protection index check." We have that every 5 years. That's checked and currently in our policy. And the box below it, "In implementing this requirement, the corporation shall obtain the updated every 5 years."
Okay.
The percentage is 20% of staff every 5 years.
Okay.
So just as a point of
Ms.
reference.
Kelly, you
for
said
you all.
anything? We okay?
No, I'm good, yeah.
Ma'am?
I'm good.
Yep. On the back page, we do have the letter A checked, arrest or the filing of criminal charges against the employee for mandatory reporting, along with B, C, and D. So we do have A checked.
Okay, I did have, now that he mentioned, when I was looking, so even though we did not specifically check, we still have the option to do
Mm-hmm.
any of these.
Yep.
That's,
Yep. All right, if there's nothing else there, we will move to 3131. And 3131 is a reduction in force. Dr. Reed, this is very much a reflection of updated law, correct?
Yes.
When I was looking through the document, I know that so I'll read through this. The policy was updated to reflect 3 changes in the law. First, discussion with the exclusive representation of the corporation's teacher prior to a RIF is no longer required. Second, the cancellation of a teacher's contract due to a justifiable decrease in the number of teaching positions is determined based on performance. And lastly, the policy was updated to no longer include references to highly effective, improvement necessary, or ineffective. But when I look at the policy itself, I only see the word performance in green that has been updated. There's language that's been taken out.
Yes.
So I guess I'm searching for the language that specifically addresses that discussion with the exclusive representation of the corporation's teachers prior to the reduction in force is no longer required. Am I
Yes,
missing that?
At the bottom, it says that, or toward the middle. Discussion may be held before we have. shall
There
be
it
held,
is. Yeah,
because that-
you are correct.
that was-
There's the other green. Yes, it was before, it was shall, now it's may. There it
Yes.
is.
Maybe.
Yes. Okay. Got it. Thanks, Dr. Reed. That one little word makes all the
Yeah.
difference. Okay. So, we
That
have.
sounds like it's gonna be okay.
Yes.
It may be in there now.
Yes.
it
Yeah.
gives us the
It gives me
option.
the
Gives
option.
superintendent the option.
Mhm.
Yep.
So,
Now, the performance makes sense when we go back to that
Right.
second one. doesn't it?
but then they take, so it's not based on effective.
Highly effective.
So
et
then
cetera.
what performance measures are we, it doesn't say, let's see,
Well, I think this is somewhat
different?
perfect timing, because our rubrics are going to be updated, where we're moving away from, and so is the state. They've moved away from highly effective. So this language now corresponds with the state language. So I would say that one of the things, to your point, Ms. Kelly, is the to be defined on the basis of performance, that could be the new rubric, right? That way we're all using some degree or variance of that rubric, whether you're elementary, middle, or high, that you could make a determination on performance there without using highly effective. Yep.
Ms. Kelly, I think we heard that just a few weeks ago, didn't
We did, but I still have not heard anybody say what
we? Yeah, in that area.
the
I agree.
criteria
Mhm.
will
Of
then be.
grading, yeah.
All right.
Okay, 3139, staff discipline. It's been revised to allow for progressive discipline without requiring it. It gives the administration additional flexibility in determining, discipline, and also provide examples of gross misconduct. So what you'll see is on page 1, examples of gross misconduct that may result in termination include but are not limited to, and you see letters A through K of what that would be. And it looks like they added letter D, which is repeated violations of board policy, rules, or standards. So, and they added letter K, other just or good cause.
Could you give us an example? Or you did, let me read this before I ask that question. In the event of preparation. Okay, I'm all right with other calls.
Any questions about this update? It also covers, whether they shall be on paid
Mhm.
leave. That's on the last page.
Yeah.
So there's that piece also covered in the policy itself.
And supervisors will make that decision.
Yes. And our process is that an administrator would work with HR and Dr. Young, if needed, depending on what the situation is.
Mhm.
Law enforcement could potentially be involved as well. There are definitely other individuals that help collectively on making those decisions.
Yes, okay. All right.
Okay. 3142 is cancellation of a teaching contract, and this gives some new wording for what would fall under a probationary teacher. If you look at letter B, the information there is in teacher's first or second year of full-time teaching in a classroom. So that is an added piece to this. Anything else, Dr. Reed, regarding this particular policy?
That was partially changed because of taking out the ratings that
Okay,
we've always had for the last several years, the ineffective.
okay,
So
okay.
Dr. Reed, those gradings have really shifted the policy somewhat. Would you agree?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
I would imagine they would, but,
Yes, it does shift the policy. So the probationary teacher, they don't have to receive any kind of rating. And if the superintendent felt as if they needed to be removed for valid reasons, they could not fall back on that evaluation.
So
Yeah.
the evaluation.
They have to prove themselves for 2 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Doctor.
So my other question, because we have folks that serve under a teaching contract, even though they are not providing instruction, how does this affect those folks?
So I think they would fall under the same, criteria in that their performance would be evaluated, in some way. It just wouldn't be the same as someone in the
What it has been,
classroom.
right?
Okay, not-
Mhm.
Because we
Yeah.
have folks that are
Mm-hmm.
technically admin, they're
Yes,
still under
you are correct.
these guidelines.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Until we have a different tool to use.
Mhm. Yep. Any other questions regarding that?
No, I think I'm okay with it.
Okay.
I think what she basically said was the old method that was used is done away with now. And they would have to prove themselves based on their performance for the last 2 years. Is that right, Dr. Reed?
Yes, and that will be determined by your corporation.
Yeah,
Okay.
just want to be clear. Thank you, Dr. Reed.
Okay. 3220 goes to
Point
your
two.
point. Nope, we're gonna get to point two. It's probably behind that one. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, it always does the 0.02 before the solid number.
Sorry.
No worries. Staff evaluation, this is also updated to reflect, the evaluation plan is to be clearly, defined, and the categories, need to be, clearly laid out. But this too is an update based on, the direction in which we're going with the removal of highly effective. If you'll take a look, letter B says that there needs to be clearly defined evaluation categories that allow for meaningful differentiation
Right.
among certified employees based on their performance, and that's the update based on the new rubric that we're going to be moving towards in 26-27. And I was glad to see letter H added, because it's new, and this is another point of consideration in teacher leadership.
Okay.
I think that wasn't always necessarily, it was in the rubric, but it's a standalone here, and I definitely appreciate that being a standalone.
Dr. Bishop, tell us what it looks like to you.
The rubric itself or teacher leadership?
Teacher leadership.
So teacher leadership can be in a wide range of things. It can be in their solid instructional practices that they share with their colleagues. It could be overseeing an idea and fleshing it out as it relates to procedures in the building. It could be also looking at and driving your data review, what that looks like, what that isn't. But honestly, teacher leadership is also on the other side of it. They may have the best rapport with students. Sometimes students that many don't have the best rapport. What knowledge does he or she share with colleagues from a leadership standpoint? They may choose to move up the ladder and look from an administrative standpoint, but I would argue that we have buildings full of teacher leaders that stay in the classroom and retire in the classroom, and we need them because they set the tone for everyone else in the building.
And allow them to buy in more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yep. So on the back side of this, I wanted to let you know that we currently have the checkbox and shall be explained to the board in a public meeting before evaluations are conducted. So I want to make sure the corporation's annual performance evaluation plan shall be in writing, and you all have also asked that it be explained to you in a public meeting.
Right.
So
Yep.
prior to the release of the new
Mm-hmm. Yep.
rubric, we will have that.
Yep.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Alrighty, so supplemental payments is 3220.02. This policy was updated for clarity to include how supplemental payments could be made to teachers and to reflect in the options and the reasons why corporations often use supplemental payments for teachers. The policy clearly identifies that supplemental payment may take the form of a salary increase or a stipend or bonus, and is in addition to any bargaining salary increases. One of the areas that I want to discuss with you two is currently we do not choose option 1. We are in and working with option 2. We currently have letter A and B checked down in option 2. The question I have for you is what you would like to do with letter D and letter E. Letter D says that a teacher who earns a master's degree, and this falls under the school board authorizes the superintendent to issue supplemental payment in excess of the salary specified in the school corporation's compensation plan to any teacher at the discretion of the superintendent, including but not limited to the following. So, letter D, who earns a master's degree. Letter E, prevent, minimize, or eliminate salary compression. This is where you two, Dr. Reed, are there any advantages, disadvantages to letter D or E?
You could, as option 2 reads, the superintendent could do that without checking D.
Okay.
Because it says including, but not limited to.
Yeah.
There have been just a few teachers that have gone and gotten higher degrees, but not in education. Something else, but this would put them under the blanket. I don't know if you've ever dealt with that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll use myself as an example. My doctorate is in not specifically in straight education. That's not typical. It's in organizational leadership.
But that is related to
What
education.
you do every day, though.
Yeah.
It's
Your doctorate is related directly to education. Doesn't have to say, your program doesn't have to say educational leadership. The organizational leadership is every bit as important in
So,
education.
I
I was thinking someone getting a law degree.
and you brought that up, and we actually have had a couple of people do that. Okay.
Should the corporation increase their salary? That's an individual decision, because I would say they'd be more likely to share the law with people, and they would be more aware. I don't know if your average attorney knows school law very well.
Yeah.
There are those who specialize in that. But that is your individual choice. And I don't know how many you've had that would include. It may be minimal, and you might want to keep those people. But if they're getting their masters and they have it and they're just waiting to exit, that's another consideration.
So, for clarity, again, for me, Dr. Reed, if we were to check letter D, because of the wording at the beginning of it, could, but does not have to, or are we saying we are going to?
If we check it.
Because plan
I
to,
would say that you could argue both ways, and
Okay.
that would create a tension
yes, it would. Yes. Okay.
with your teachers.
Yeah.
Because you don't want them to say, well, the superintendent doesn't like me, and so I'm not getting that salary increase because I have my master's.
Understood. Okay.
And then
Alright.
again, is it just because you got your master's and it's not
Pertaining to education.
right? Because my first master's was in management. They didn't count that.
Yeah.
But then I also work in a district that does not do a differentiation whether you have in your pay, regardless of whether you have a master's or not. At this time, when they brought me in, and so they brought some people in with that, but then at times they've not used this.
Dr. Reed, you did say it was an individual choice, didn't you?
Right.
Yes, it is the school board's choice. I could argue it both ways. I could argue that anybody that gets more education would be good for your students. They would have more knowledge, and knowledge sometimes crosses over.
That was my next question. The leverage of crossing it over and then looking at the individual as where they were before they got the degree and how they were able to utilize what they had before they had the degree, and would the new degree be able to be utilized in their behavior to cross it over. Does that make sense?
Yes, and they would also have an advantage of helping students at the secondary level with different pathways. They would provide an example of maybe another pathway that one could take. And would have first-hand knowledge on that.
I would think, based on the shortage that we have in the field of education, Dr. Reed, that with a competent superintendent in the chair, I think we need to leave that up to that superintendent, based on the shortage of workforce as it relates to making sure that they can fill those positions, and hopefully they can utilize what they have brought to the table thus far, and not be, I wouldn't say penalized, but be, what would be a good word there, Dr. Bishop? Not be held back salary-wise because
Sure.
of the discipline they took towards their masters. What do you think?
I would agree with you,
Okay.
Yeah.
but I'm not supposed to influence your decision.
No, ma'am, we're not.
And maybe
No.
either way.
Yeah.
Picking your brain.
I'm just asking a question based on the atmosphere in which education is in right now. And I'm just.
Yes, we need all the good people we
Yeah,
can.
that's all I'm saying. And I like the idea of pathway thinking when it comes to if a person just happens to take their master's in a different discipline area, we ought to still consider not throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Absolutely.
So am I hearing you two want letter D checked?
I'm inclined to
I'm
say
inclined to let it be
yes,
checked.
Okay.
because, like, for all the reasons Dr. Moore was saying, but also looking at teacher retention.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
mean, we've
yeah.
got to,
Yeah,
and if adding to their salary is within our power
mhm.
to retain them,
And then the idea of the professional piece that we add to our teachers will also help help those individuals.
Mhm.
Does that make sense, Dr.
because we
Bishop?
already
It
have
does.
programs that encourage them
Yeah.
to get their masters,
Mhm.
so why not incentivize that even more?
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to. We're already
Okay, and-
doing those things.
Yes, and I will circle back that this would potentially, be a supplemental payment. It wouldn't be in addition, I think that piece is also part of remembering that this is a supplemental payment.
Yeah,
But
That's
we may
very,
not need it once we've done the bargaining.
Correct.
This is in addition to.
correct,
mhm.
yes.
So once, if we
correct.
bargain correctly,
You won't have to get
we
to this
won't
piece.
need
Yes,
this.
yes. Okay, so I'm going to check D.
Yeah,
Yes? Okay,
And this, we always, it doesn't say shall.
Correct.
So we have the option.
Yeah.
yeah.
Dr. Reed, can you explain what to prevent, minimize, or eliminate salary compression means?
You're at what one now? You're at
E.
D.
E.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes, depending on your school compensation plan, sometimes the people at the very top get stuck. And they don't, especially with the state requiring some additional first-year teacher pay. And this is for all corporations. Pike may not be in the situation where they're tight for funds. But this would allow the superintendent to give a bonus supplemental pay to someone at the high end that their salary has been somewhat stagnant for a few years. And that happens particularly in small and rural schools, but we have to write policies for everybody.
Okay,
And you never know, a corporation to your north was struggling financially.
yeah. Okay. So, based on that feedback, do you two want to check E?
I think we ought to.
Okay.
I mean, let's just be relevant about it. I think whatever we have to do in the scenario of a teacher, we have to think about retainment.
Mhm.
I think, Ms. Kelly, I don't know how you feel
We
about it.
I feel like the same thing, in bargaining, we have an opportunity to get it right.
Yeah,
And then if we miss the boat, this can come back and cover us. If somebody says, well, why are you
right.
doing it that way? Because we wanted to make sure these folks were taken care of.
Yeah, they can't say the policy did not work for them.
I mean, we have.
Oh, we're okay, Doc.
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, alrighty, that takes us to 3362.01. And so this policy, it reads, is establishing a zero tolerance framework for threats against school administrators and central office staff. Because we're on the admin side first, we will get to this, another version of
Yeah,
this
so-
here in a bit. By formalizing a mandatory reporting chain, the policy removes administrative discretion and ensures that threats, intimidation, or battery against employees are reported to law enforcement immediately. So that is the change here.
Okay,
All right. Okay, that takes us to 3430,
yes, ma'am.
and that's leave of absence.
I saw that.
The policy currently provides for the same level leave benefits, as those bargaining in the master agreement. However, there may be instances such as the sick leave bank where the benefits are bargained only for members of the unit, and the corporation may decide not to have that benefit for other professional staff. Therefore, this policy is updated to state that the leave benefits will be the same unless the corporation provides written notice of a difference to the impacted employees. This gives the corporation more flexibility in benefit provisions while still ensuring the professional staff are aware of their benefits. This policy has been updated to reflect the Ambassador for Education leave to Teacher of the Year leave. So, I found this interesting, Dr. Reed, because we recently had for 25, 26, we had the Indiana State Teacher of the Year. So this piece, Teacher of the Year leave, didn't exist because we're just now looking at it, but I thought the timeliness of it was interesting. But anyway, so the Teacher of the Year leave is an ad. Up at the top, our current language is Pike Teacher Classroom Association. That's in agreement with. And you'll see, unless the corporation provides notice of such exclusion in writing. And
We will add that piece to it, right?
Yes, it's in green automatically there. It goes, and then we fill in, Dr. Moore, the Pike Teachers Classroom Association. Yes. Yep. So I think that's it for that one.
Okay, now we just need to add, we have leave for political office.
Hey,
Political off, like, because there's times I need to be in the district, but I don't have leave
Yeah.
to come and do things.
yeah. Okay,
understand.
we have 4120.08, employment of personnel for extracurricular activities. And this once again goes back to the IHSAA. So I think we had 3120, now we're gonna have 4120. So this is the same policy or additional information, the additional requirements for coaches, that they have to be rostered with the IHSAA.
Right.
So this mirrors the one that we covered earlier.
And we check. Okay, it mirrors 31.
It's 2 pages to this one, right here.
Front and back. And then
Yes.
there's the third thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Good shape.
Just trying to see if we check what we checked.
We have on the first page for individuals from the community or nearby areas, that's checked. And then on page 2, we did not choose either. We don't have, it says, we didn't choose any of the following. And then on page 3, we have the corporation shall report, that's checked. Yep. And we checked the Indiana code that's listed, if there is a conviction of an offense.
Kind of makes it easy when everything mirrors.
Yep. Okay, that leaves us with 4150 next, and that's disciplinary actions. Dr. Reed, this is a replacement policy. Can you share any insight on why this is replacing the previous one?
Because we've added all those options, or we've added all those, examples. They're not really
Okay.
options.
Yes.
They specify.
Okay. Okay. So it's much more detailed than the previous policy.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so it says if the board finds facts that support the use of discipline, the board may impose a penalty which may include but not limited to one or more of the following. And it gives you A through E. And then it goes a step further and hashes out gross misconduct again. And there are the examples that may fall under there.
Hopefully, we don't get to gross misconduct.
We would hope so. We really hope not. So much more detailed in the document, Dr. Reed.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
appreciative of the examples. I think sometimes when you're trying to wrap your brain around, okay, where does this
Right.
category fall? Providing this information, I think, is, and they add on the last piece of it that nothing in this policy shall supersede an applicable collective bargaining agreement. So I appreciate that line for sure.
Yes. It's very self-explanatory as it relates to grasping it. This is the kind of thing that I hope that when we talk about website stuff, does that make sense, Dr. Bishop? When people and families look at website things, they can see some things like this. They see it and say, oh, okay, I can grasp this a lot better than what it was last time.
Okay.
And has this already been added to the handbook?
No, it is not. It has not yet been board approved.
We've got to go for all of it.
Okay.
I would just add that when you have things detailed in a policy, it's much harder for anybody to argue, or if you were to terminate someone, we've always been able to terminate for willful refusal to follow board policies, or repeated violations, or theft, fraud. But if somebody would take the corporation to court, there could be a cost in that. A judge would look and say, no, this is in the board policy, and you don't have a case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is
That's Dr. Reed, that is exactly what I'm talking about. When you put where the rubber meets the road at, it's very easy to handle situations. Although there is a process at the end of that
Yes.
particular road, that's what the judge will say. Here is what the policy says.
Yes.
It's very clear. But then we have to make sure those steps A through D were followed and documented properly to
Oh,
get.
yes. Yeah.
You don't have to do them 1, 2, 3, 4, because there are certain things that you can immediately terminate someone for. Or you may think that's serious enough to suspend them, and jump from the verbal warning. An example, I had a teacher that threw a desk in a classroom into the students, just picked it up and threw it. I immediately suspended him because he was not safe at that point.
Okay.
Which was the right thing to do.
Any additional questions regarding this policy? Okay. 4362.01 mirrors 3362.01. This is the technical correction one that they're adding policy names and numbers.
No, I don't.
It's a single page, 3162.01. I'm sorry, 4362.01, Dr. Moore.
Go on, man. I don't know how I get mixed up sometimes, guys. It's 51.
Where mine jumped straight.
You and me both, sis. What was that one called? 40 what?
4362.01. The good thing is it's a technical correction.
Yeah.
So, keeping them in order.
Let's see.
And it may be, like, since it's a singleton, it may be in one of your others.
Pretty good so far.
So we can certainly come back to it. We may find it as we're moving through
Yeah.
our other ones. So I'll turn it sideways and we'll come back to it.
Okay.
Do you see 5111?
That is the one I had.
Okay,
That's what I
perfect.
have.
Okay,
I
here we
don't know
go.
how yeah. We'll come back to it.
Alrighty, so 5111 has been updated to include
4360.
What was it?
4362.01.
Okay, I had
Y'all
set
got
it over
y'all.
to the side.
Okay.
That is, it goes with the 3362.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was it?
4362.01.
I set it to the side because it goes with the, I pulled it when we were looking at 3362.
It'll pop up.
It will, believe me. Don't be-
Yeah, we'll come back to it. Okay, so 5111, it is a drafting note to clarify that while a school corporation may deny any student's application pursuant to the reasons included in this policy, a corporation may not deny enrollment solely based on a student disability. So, if you Dr. Reed, from what I could see, it really is just the language. So for example, on page, what would be considered 3, they have struck through, including a student with a disability. So pursuant to law, the board may deny a student's application, including a student with a disability, to transfer to the corporation, discontinue enrollment, etc. So is that strikeout is where the change is related to the policy, correct?
Yes, because that goes with, it makes it compliant with 4123,
Yep, okay,
the disability discrimination policy.
yep, okay.
It's a pretty large policy.
It is. This policy, Dr. Moore, as a point of reference, was at one point shorter because we did not have out-of-district enrollment.
Now we do.
When we transitioned to have out-of-district enrollment, this policy expanded out to cover what the requirements are by law for out-of-district enrollment and all the language that goes with it.
It's swell.
Yes, it did. Alrighty,
I think we already checked all of those.
we did.
But we're not,
Mhm.
I know you did not.
Yeah.
You did not do transportation.
Correct.
Is this the end of it here?
It is going to look like it's got,
All the cross-reference.
yeah, it's got cross-reference pages to it.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
That's what we make sure we're on point. That's it.
So the next one that is here is 5310. We currently, Dr. Reed, do not have 5310 as a policy. It's titled Health Services. We provide health screenings such as, well, let me correct my language. We do not provide health screenings. The Marion County Health Department comes in and does vision and hearing. So I surmise that we have not approved this policy because someone else does the services, and there's also language in here that would speak to what would be considered a physical examination, which we do not have the resources to do. Is there anything in this policy that you feel we should reconsider bringing in the policy?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think you're accurate in what you have chosen.
Okay, alrighty.
So we are not, yeah.
No. And so the same thing, a discussion with 5462, we had this discussion regarding this particular policy back in 25. We opted not to bring in this policy because much of what is in the policy is currently ongoing at the high school. Our discussion back then was, do we really need to have something in writing with practices that we do for the betterment of students at the high school right now? They have processes in place, for example, for retaking, for students who may receive an F in a class and retaking that class, and what things are done to update their transcripts so that it doesn't negatively affect them. So there are current procedures in place at the high school that we have not opted to bring in this policy. Okay.
That's fine.
Alrighty. Okay, 5540 this is a revision, and this policy was updated to provide a drafting note that provides a definition of what federal agents may include and further refines the explanation, bless you, of what constitutes a valid judicial warrant. And so I see the language, the drafting note that says federal agents may include immigration and custom enforcement, homeland security investigations, customs and border protection, and the Federal Bureau of Investigations. So that language is going to be added into this policy.
Dr. Reed, how do you feel about this? Wait a
Again,
minute, let me retract that. Let me retract that.
Influence you either way, because I do not believe that law enforcement needs to come into the school building. There are opportunities for them to talk with students, unless it's an emergency, unless it is something that pertains to school. I'm not for that, but that's just my opinion. It's not Neola's. We have no opinion.
So I will say, Dr. Reed, that the definition is hashed out. I get it, and I know why it's being written in this way. On the last page, which is page 4, there is additional language that has been added by Neola that regarding the definition or possession of a valid judicial warrant.
Right.
It's very clear that, and of course we wouldn't, that we would not interfere with the execution of the warrant. But there is, however, an additional line at the end of that, number 4, that states, however, enforcement should be limited to the specific and narrow confines of the warrant. Any attempts to extend the execution of the warrant past the administrator's understanding of its limits should be noted in writing prior to the act itself. So I think that the added language helps to some degree if an administrator feels like they're could be going in a different direction, in my opinion.
Right, and there is a difference between a valid judicial warrant and someone from ICE coming in.
Mm-hmm.
They normally do not have a valid judicial warrant that has to come from a judge.
Yep. I didn't see anything here, Dr. Reed, that was new other than the extended definitions and the added language to number 4 to this particular policy.
Dr. Bishop, are you
Correct.
comfortable with number 4? I mean, what, are you comfortable with the policy now?
My professional opinion is the definitions are, I think, there for a reason, based on where we are
In our society?
in our society. But I am there's some solace to the number 4 and knowing that an administrator who would work very closely with our law enforcement, should this ever happen in our building, to make sure that whatever that judicial warrant and whoever is involved, that is all that is pertains to. And so I think we've had conversations, many conversations with our safety team, administrators, law enforcement, on what that could potentially look like, and always relying on our chief of police to help us navigate any potential situations that could arise based on a valid judicial warrant.
Question.
Yes.
Will our, after we pass this particular new policy,
Mm-hmm.
or the changes of the revision of the policy, will Chief Casper and his law enforcement staff be abreast on this?
Yes, so my practice is that once policies are passed, so for example, we've got a set that are going on Thursday,
Yeah.
right? So then what happens out of my office is that we then go through each one and say, okay, this department, and this department definitely need this policy. We forward it to them so they hear directly from us. We don't leave it up to circumstance to say, okay, policies have been updated, good luck. We send those policies directly to those individuals so that they have now the responsibility of hashing out that information with their new folks. In this particular policy, we'll do the same, but there's an added component because this falls under, in my opinion, the safety piece of the district. Central office has a safety committee. So we'll bring this, whenever it's passed, we'll bring it to our monthly safety meeting so we can hash through any processes and then make sure that Chief Casper has all of his people involved, and then this becomes a messaging update for all of our safety specialists in all of our schools.
Okay, so you're basically telling us that it'll go out, then you'll come back and go over, after he goes over it with his people, he'll let you know that this policy has been transmitted to all of our law enforcement officers.
Mm-hmm.
And we can rest assured that they understand
Yep.
how to, move this policy through the district.
Yep.
That's what I needed to know.
Alrighty.
I have no problem with it now.
Okay. Good, Ms. Kelly?
Because
Okay.
in my estimation, I have to agree with Dr. Reed on this, and that is about how law enforcement and school systems work. I think when a law enforcement hits our school system, our district, our officers are in charge of that law of our jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
And as they are in charge of our jurisdiction, they must work under that jurisdiction to bring into fruition what they're there to do. You know, unless, it's more intense than what we think it should be.
Yes, there have been times where, because of the nature of
Yeah.
and of certain situations, I mean, I won't speak for Chief Casper, but I've had conversations with him where there have been sometimes frustrations because sometimes law enforcement agencies don't necessarily talk to each other. And I think he's always done the best that he could to make sure everyone understands if there is something within the district, you should be working with me as the chief of police of Pike Township. And so I think that's always a work in progress. And he has found himself, unfortunately, in scenarios, not a lot, but times where that hasn't always necessarily been the case. And they have found out the hard way that things would go a little bit smoother if you didn't try to do this on your own
Yeah.
and you actually worked with our current chief of police. So,
We
yeah.
heard that
I
recently.
have a question, and this may be getting into too much into what admin is doing, but I guess who is responsible then for determining whether that warrant is valid?
Chief Casper is.
So before students are released, pulled from class, any of that, Chief Casper
Our-
is
our-
asked to be on the scene.
You are
before
correct.
any of that is done.
You are correct. Our direction to our administrators is you have an immediate call to Chief Casper so that he can help navigate what is happening in your building. For our middle schools, we currently have an officer in the building, but it's not to minimize their presence, but we feel like Chief Casper has been in the profession for 30 years. He is very aware of all the things that go along with that. So our directive has always been to contact him.
And everyone knows that's the protocol.
Mhm.
I'm okay with it.
Alrighty.
We understand. We just hope other law enforcement agencies understand.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, that takes us to policy 5600. 5600, it has been revised to eliminate the reference to Indiana Code 2026-532 and any options related to the statute, which was repealed by House Enrolled Act 1002. Changes also were made to avoid gender references consistent with Neola's other policies. So, I think you'll see on page 2 there is a mark out of the superintendent shall request. That's been removed. And for example, letter B towards the bottom, instead of using
Yeah.
his, her, they're moving towards there.
Mhm.
Yep.
So we have all the options checked,
Yes, ma'am.
and then we have, the-
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep. Okay, policy 5840 is actually a rescinded policy. So it's actually going to come off the books.
Gone.
Yes,
And
it's a duplication of the discipline statutes. And, it tends to over-label students. The misconduct misconduct is typically addressed under the 5600. So it's just redundant.
Okay. Okay, we have another policy that we currently do not have. It's a new one, and it's titled Acceptance of Payment by Credit Card. Question for both of you is if you would like to bring in this policy, it is a new policy. The reasoning for this new policy, Dr. Reed, is it simply giving the district the ability to use credit cards, but also the layer of being responsible for protecting the data?
Yes,
Okay.
and it helps with your audit to have this policy.
Okay. Okay.
Because they will ask you for the procedures, and
Okay.
when you do have your financial audit,
Okay.
they increase things, as you well know, all the time.
Yes.
That
So, Ms. Kelly and Dr. Moore, what I can do is speak with the business office to get their feedback. For example, it asks for not to, what amounts would we want to consider if we check that do not exceed, enter a certain amount, or the board authorizes, who would that be? The treasurer, the business office, CFO, and get some feedback from them on those two areas. Is there something that we should consider regarding the use of Visa, MasterCard, Discover, American Express? Should all of those be checked? I can certainly talk with them and try to get additional information.
And what area would they be used in?
This looks like that and we currently take credit card payments. So I think, to Dr. Reed's point, this helps from a procedural audit standpoint, and being that we would have a policy to give direction to the business office for use of credit cards. Where currently we do not.
they have to provide the administrative guidelines.
Okay.
The State Board of Accounts will request that.
I view this policy a lot like the time and effort policy that we had to take to the board. Very similar. It was a federal requirement that we have a policy to guide the time and effort log. I think this very much mirrors that need, but I can certainly ask them for feedback and bring it back.
But it gives another layer of accountability
Yes, ma'am.
for
Yeah.
where those payments go and who has access to them and all of that.
Yes. Okay.
And we will find out who will have access to their card.
Yep. And I,
And
Go right
go
ahead,
ahead,
Doctor.
Dr. Reed.
I don't know if you limit the brand, but some credit cards have a higher processing fee than others.
Yep.
And I don't know your process,
Yep.
do you pass that along to your, the person using the credit card, or does the corporation pay that?
Yep. Okay. Alrighty, so I'll work with them and get some more information for you all.
American Express is on here, see.
Yes.
That's a quick turnaround.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this one sideways because that's a to-do for me. Okay, so the next one would be 6152. And this policy has been revised to provide additional guidance regarding imposing a limit on amounts to be written off as uncollectible fees and charges, depending on the length of time the debt has been outstanding and the ability of the debtor to pay, and to account for the repeal of House Act 1001. and the repeal of House Act 1002. So you'll see on the first page, we have green writing that says, additionally, the board may assess and collect a reasonable fee for supplies and materials that are not curricular materials and that supplement the instruction in a particular course. Previous policy did not have the ability to do that. So that is the added piece of that.
And this would include, or if I'm wrong, like the cosmetology kits, or is that considered instruction?
Yes, I think there's long been a discussion on the cosmetology kits and
Like the kits, and then like the tools for those that are in the trades.
Trade,
yeah,
pathway trades.
yes.
So, I know I believe last year we had some discussion about, is that part of that?
The class itself,
Right.
yeah. I think that depending on the discussion, if you're in the course, the barbering or cosmetology course, and you don't have a kit, I don't know that you could move forward
Right.
in doing the work.
Yeah.
So we fell back on it's part of,
So we did provide that.
I can't say to standard, but I'm almost positive we have, but I will circle back to you, Ms. Kelly.
Okay, because that,
Mhm.
I guess those types of, or even in the, trying to think of other, like gym uniforms, those kind of, I think we talked about that as well. In
Gym-
one of the policies.
Yes, in gym uniforms, we no longer provide, and we no longer charge. We allow them to come in.
So they just have to wear a
Mhm.
appropriate,
Correct.
not a specific uniform.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I do remember that conversation.
Mhm.
We said we're just gonna do away with the uniform.
Yeah.
For that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Some of these things circle back. But you said you're gonna,
I will check on the cosmetology kits for you.
or even the pathway classes in general, what
Tools.
materials outside of, or are we saying you need those things, so therefore they are included in that, because you can't, like you said, if I'm in the carpentry class and I don't have a hammer, what good
You're
is
right.
it gonna do me?
Yep. This particular policy on the back side, I actually have a note to check with the business office to provide more information for you two regarding what should be included in this, because it says that generally the State Board of Accounts requires that there be a board policy in place in order to write off fees. I want to make sure they are able to take a look at that since there's green, because it looks like it ranges from 200 to 500. Sometimes they have their thoughts behind what that could look like. So with your permission, I'd
They
like to
change
get,
this up to
Mhm.
200.
yep. So, and sometimes, that may be the recommendation, but in the business world, they're like, that may be the recommendation, but we really want you to stay here.
Right, because this is
Yeah.
reasonably what we can
Correct.
Which you naturally do.
Yes,
get.
yeah.
Right.
So with your permission, I'm gonna turn this sideways to get more information and bring it
Before we-
back to
yeah.
you. Yes. Yeah. Same here. Questions for the business office,
Again.
because this policy deals with procurement for federal grants and funds. And when you get to page 2, the exceed amounts have risen. So not to exceed, and they have in green 15,000, where currently it's 10. on page 3, it says not to exceed 350,000, but currently it's 250,000. I just want them to take a look at this to see if there isn't anything that we need additional information on before writing the amount in these 3 areas. If you two are okay with that.
Yeah, I think we ought to be accurate.
Okay. Okay.
Nothing wrong with being accurate when it comes to affecting the budget.
Okay. So 7420 is hygienic management, and based on feedback, this policy has been updated to replace the terms, some of the terms. It sounds a little bit more, I don't know if it goes from a little bit less with some of the words that are being added in, but it does shorten one of them and then adds other bodily fluids to the the disposal and handling of bodily fluids for the protection of the staff and students if something happens, and there needs to be a cleanup. So there's just an extension of the definition.
And this is, why can't I think of the name of the training?
The training we've been watching since we started in education. And I can't remember the name of it. We're gonna make reference to it, and now we can't remember the name of it.
But it's just-
Bloodborne pathogen.
There it is, Dr.
was this?
Reed.
Bloodborne pathogens. So we're just
Yes.
saying that that's gonna continue, that's all we're
Yes.
saying.
Yeah.
Annual bloodborne pathogens training, cause I'm like, every year, I know September's coming around, I have to watch it every September.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think we're all right here.
Yep. We're rescinding policy 7541, because this information has been included in what we'll get to policy 8300. All right, 8120 is volunteers, and so this policy has been revised to remove a list of specific convictions that the school corporation is required to report to the IHSAA and identify the specific Indiana code provisions that require the corporation to make a report to the IHSAA. So I think it has been updated to include that, and you'll see the 2 green, letter A
B,
and B, yes. And of course, they're very specific. It used to say report to the association. Now it's very specific to say the IHSAA when you're dealing with a volunteer coach.
So are these other areas that were taken out included somewhere, they're included somewhere else?
mm-hmm.
That's,
Yeah. So, so when you go to, for example, has committed misconduct described in, when you go to Indiana Code 2026, 57, it's going to give you a long list of what those are.
okay.
And the same thing
And
for,
they're included in.
yes, yes, yeah. And then in green, you'll see the coach training, that are required,
Yes,
like concussion protocol, equipment, the heat,
emergency.
yes. So there are specific requirements that need to be done, And all of that is new to this particular, policy.
Because for paid coaches, it's already been updated.
Correct. Okie dokie. Okay, so Dr. Reed, we currently do not have, well, actually we do. We have policy 8300, but I have set aside questions regarding the scope of continuity. There are dollar amounts here and time frames here that I think, let me say not dollar amount, time frames that need to be addressed. So, for example, the primary objective of the continuity of organizational operation plan is to restore the corporation's critical operations business functions and the learning environment as quickly as possible after a crisis or emergency disaster or threat event has occurred. Here is where some of the possible checks come in. The plan, we could check, the plan shall include strategies aimed at resuming instructional and crucial business functions within, and what should that be? It looks like it says select a time period in which to restart corporation essential operations, for example, 2 school days, 5 business days, 48 hours. Those are all example time frames. If we had an emergency or a disaster, what would be the time frame that the board would want that we would be up and running?
It would depend on what the disaster is. Would you, Dr. Reed, would you agree with that?
I would agree with that because you can have a 2-day crisis or a 1-day crisis if you had an active shooter in your building.
Yeah.
But a tornado that tears down the building is going to take you more time. And the key word here is aimed at resuming instruction.
Yeah.
So it doesn't lock you into, oh, we have to do this within 5 days, or we have to do this within 48 hours, but what would be our best case scenario?
If I'm
And
reading,
you can.
oh, sorry, Dr. Reed, go ahead. Go ahead. If I'm reading this correctly, though, we don't have to choose the internal options. We could leave it as the primary objective of the plan is to restore the corporation's critical operational business functions and the learning environment as quickly as possible after a crisis, emergency, disaster, or threat event occurs, period, and leave it at that?
Absolutely, you can, and then you don't have anybody saying you didn't open in 5 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Kelly?
They
Concerns?
don't tie our hands.
Right.
Right.
Okay, alrighty, we will leave it there and not. Okay, then,
Because again, like to Dr. Moore's point, depending on what the crisis is, and it may take longer
Yeah.
or shorter time.
You
to
can
do
tear a
it.
roof off, but you don't know what the roof has done to the power of the building.
And then how quickly can we get the materials
Yeah.
and,
You don't know what the internal situation will be.
or if it's a computer
Yeah.
issue, how long is it gonna take to deal with
Yeah.
getting it back up and running?
okay, on the second page, there is, the superintendent shall provide that all relevant staff receive annual or periodic training on their roles in the plan. Generally, we have chosen the word periodic. But you two tell me, how you would like to proceed here.
Periodic meeting in this instance. Is needed.
So does that gives us the flexibility, so if we want it annually, it can still be annually,
Mhm.
but
As
we're not
needed
tied
to it, yeah.
annually.
Yes.
Or if it's needed more than annual,
Mhm.
depending on the situation, it can, I think,
You think periodically needs to say?
periodically,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
then it can be whenever.
Okay. Alrighty. I think that's all I see here.
I think we're okay with that, since we understand it.
Okay. Alrighty. 8305 is information security. 8305 is a safeguard for the school corporation's digital and physical assets, providing for the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of sensitive data belonging to students, staff, and vendors. This policy is revised to strengthen the cybersecurity posture and formalizing incident response protocols, including things like updated terminology, identification of required compliance regarding confidentiality certifications, mandatory incident responses, and as well as training and annual risk assessment data points. So on the first page, you'll see that added language. So that's the added component in green here. So data information collected by the corporation shall be classified as confidential, controlled, or published. The superintendent shall define confidential, controlled, and published in administrative guidelines and provide example of data information in each classification. So we'll need to make sure that our administrators have that information based on what's been added to this policy. And this will also be a policy that will go to our IT department as they work with our cybersecurity pieces. So he and his department are definitely going to need to be very familiar with this policy. So if I can get you to take a look at the back of page 2, there is a box at the bottom that reads, "It is the policy of the board, if the corporation is experiencing a ransomware incident, not to pay or otherwise comply with a ransom demand unless the board formally adopts a resolution to approve such a payment or compliance with the ransom demand. If that occurs, the resolution will specifically state why the payment or compliance with the ransom demand is in the corporation's best interest." So that is new. We'll need to make a decision on how you as a board would like to proceed in that regard.
I think it handles it, Doctor.
Say that,
You don't have to include it in your policy, but you do have to do that.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be included. If we have to do it, it has to be included.
So this would be, if we had, some ransomware or we got hacked and they're asking for $1, whatever that may be. This would mean that the board would need to pass a resolution if you all felt we were actually going to pay the $1, that you would do the resolution and provide specifically why we're making payment or complying with the ransom. Okay? All right, so I will
Ms.
check
Kelly,
that
you all
there.
right with
That's
that?
fine, because
Mhm.
we'd have case by case situations.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
It protects us, is that right, Dr. Reed?
Yes. We experienced that, earlier in the summer, right at the end of the university's term. And, universities across the nation were shut down by hackers. Our campus was hacked. And we were trying to get grades in, and people were trying to prepare for the summer classes, and it was very disruptive. I don't know what the resolution was, that was not released, but
Mhm. Yeah. We felt
it was
some of the ramifications of that, Dr. Reed, because Canvas ended up, and I completely understand it. They ended up pulling back all of their programming until they figured out what had occurred, which in essence affected us, even though we weren't directly involved in the hack and ransom. So, yeah, it made for interesting times for sure.
yes.
Alrighty, so 8,400 is,
Not going to change. Yes, it is.
8,400 covers, it has revised, the policy has been revised to include the term building, where the school corporation is required to develop, implement, improve, and coordinate a school safety plan, not just for the corporation, but for each building. And so,
Number 8 is gone.
yes, it
School
is.
is removed and added building.
Mm-hmm, yep.
I see that.
And we currently already do that anyway, right?
Yes, so
Yeah.
all of our buildings have a school safety specialist, a school safety plan, and they have their own school safety meetings monthly. So,
He has been added. Pursue a person to flee from the school.
um, okay, so, yeah, you're looking at,
So that,
yep,
everything else.
yep.
And
Okay,
then we did not take the optional,
no. And we don't have school resource officers,
Right.
and then, okay. Then- Oh, you saw letter D, yep, that's the,
We on point.
okay,
but instead of resort, it would be our police officer.
yep. It looks like 8455. This too is very similar. It's the IHSAA, sponsored coaches, whether paid or volunteer, be properly rostered. That's that same policy. It's hitting all areas. And so this covers that same information, the training and the IHSAA reporting for 8455. $84.62 is revised to reflect the revision and the repeal of one of House Enrolled Act 1002. So on the back page of this, you will see in addition to the training required for the initial license under the employee who is likely to have direct ongoing contact with the children within the scope. You'll see, what the, requirement is for the licensing permit or
Right.
renewal.
Okay, there's one,
And we have,
In the green.
and the provided during the corporation employee's contract day. That's checked.
There's also a correction. On the word as, there's an extra S.
Oh, where is that, Miss Kelly?
In the
I missed that, Miss Kelly.
Indiana Department of Education.
Oh, you're
shall-
right, there it
Shall.
is.
There's an
Oh,
extra S.
yours
I'll-
or mine, Miss Kelly?
So we'll make that correction when we send it in. Notice that it
Yeah.
needs to,
I
yeah,
just happened to realize.
you did, you caught that, yes, you
caught it.
did.
Did you see that, Doctor?
Yes, and production, mark that out, production.
There
will
you
take care
go,
of that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, 8510.
There's nothing to check on this other one. We're good. on
Yes, you are correct.
8510?
8510 is wellness. There's a check, ad that we're complying with the USDA.
Mhm.
And everything else remains the same.
Nothing shift.
Mm-mm.
Get something taken out, though.
Yes, and with the non-discrimination portion on the backside adds and anti-harassment.
Yeah.
all of these other
Now,
things.
we didn't run across that other one. I didn't run across that.
Oh, 4362.01.
Yeah, that bothers me.
It's-
I had everything else. 42 what now?
4362.01.
I don't know why I lost that. Forgive me, Doctor.
it's only a one pager, so it's
Yeah.
probably tough.
I feel bad now.
It's stuck to something.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm gonna take you back to, and I know you're still looking, Dr. Moore, I'm gonna take you back to policy 1220. That policy was a discussion, you all wanted to take a look at the language of the anti-harassment.
Did you get that to us?
Yes, I did.
This one here, right?
I believe,
Yes.
so this is not new, this was in our original packet. This was the discussion that we had regarding the employment of the superintendent. And, that, yes, I provided that to you because I believe you all were looking for language related to retaliation.
This is it.
Yes, and I tagged it for you with this sticky note so that you could read the retaliation language.
Yes.
And then,
Did Dr. Reed get this?
no, she has access to all policies. Dr. Reed, we're specifically looking at, policy 1662, our anti-harassment policy.
Okay,
Do you have retaliation yet, Dr. Reed?
I'm going to have to log into you. I
This is where
just
we're
have copied
Yes.
all of your policies that I prepared for you. And that's what I've been looking at, this policy. I'll have to try to log into Board Docs. You did get the message that we're
Yes.
moving away from Board Docs,
Yes,
correct?
yes, and,
Which will make everybody happy.
Lord.
Miss Melissa and I have signed up for training so that we can get all the knowledge that we can and then get everyone else on board for what that will look like. We're excited for what this is going to bring from a user-friendly standpoint.
Okay.
Yes, it's going to be very similar to Word.
Okay, perfect.
So instead of Board Docs, we will have something new?
It is an update provided by Neola that
Okay.
we'll still have all access to policies, and it's just gonna be, it's gonna look different and hopefully be a little bit easier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amen.
So, Dr. Reed, the conversation, I believe when we first met, Miss Kelly, wanted to, I think, potentially, Dr. Moore, I'm not gonna, correct me if I'm wrong, wanted to potentially check in policy 1220 any relationship that interferes with the corporation's culture of teamwork, the harmonious work environment, or the productivity employees will the subject, excuse me, goodness, or the productivity of employees will be subject to discipline up to and including termination. That then expanded into, do we have any language that would include protection of possible retaliation? And so I pulled the policy that covers retaliation for Dr. Moore and Ms. Kelly, with the hopes that that gives them additional information on to help them make a decision on whether they want to actually add this box or not to the policy. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Dr. Reed, are you reading it, or do you have it committed to memory as you gave Dr.
I remember that policy, yes.
As you gave
And,
Dr. Bishop a compliment on how good she is, I'm ready to compliment on how good you are. So tell us what you think about retaliation.
I would agree with Dr. Bishop that the retaliation policy would cover any retaliation because it specifically states that.
Okay, what is your interpretation, explaining it to a layman? I'm a layman, so explain it to me from your lens. So here's a person that might say, I feel I'm being retaliated against.
Right.
So explain it to me.
I would share the policy, and I would ask, first I would listen and ask for information. That's the most important thing. I would write down everything the person said. I always scripted complaints. And I would say that I would take it under advisement. If it's superintendent retaliation, that would, unless your board would be, unless you would select it for hearings, and I can't remember if you do or not. Most boards do not want things to go past the superintendent. That person would have the right to file a tort against the school corporation. But I would not give them any legal advice. But if it's a principal retaliating, the superintendent should hear and make a determination if that was true or not.
And there's only a few instances in most districts where, God forbid, something happened where those that report directly to the superintendent, and I'm thinking, what recourse then do those folks, like if there's a handful of folks, then what do they, what are their options?
Their options are to pursue it legally, unless, if the board has selected in other policies that they will hear hearings, then they would take it to the board for the board's decision. If not, and the board says the superintendent's decision is final, then they would have the legal recourse.
I would be interested in seeing, in that instance, have we selected who would hear those things? Would that be in this policy?
It would be.
Mhm. It's there.
And we've selected, we've selected,
I wanna say that, keep going in your pages, Miss Kelly. Keep going.
So
Here's
Dr.
the
Reed, you're
procedure.
basically saying that it would be feasible to put this piece in policy.
Yes, you may add things to the policy.
Dr. Bishop?
Sir?
What do you think?
I think based on this particular policy, there is a complaint procedure,
I saw that.
that we would follow through. I think policy 1220 is separate in what I think you may want to, or possibly discussing, wanting to do with the anti-harassment policy. So if we could, just for my clarity, address policy 1220 first,
Okay.
right? And then we could potentially hash out what potential changes you may want to make to the complaint procedure and our anti-harassment, if that
but
sounds
this
okay.
covers us. So if we don't check that, we're still covered.
I would-
That was my concern with asking for this, to make sure. I don't wanna duplicate things, but I also wanna make sure we have done our due diligence
Mm-hmm.
to protect any employee
So
from the top all the way down.
so basically the box that's up for discussion is any relationship that interferes with the corporation's culture of teamwork, the harmonious work a harmonious work environment, or the productivity of employees will be subject to discipline up to and including termination. So the question is, based on that, we have not had that checked. Do you want to add that to this particular policy,
That's 12, right?
1220?
Yeah, I think it should be added, don't you, Ms. Kelly?
It is, or a cross-reference to that it's found. If we don't check it, a cross-reference to that it's here.
But I'm not, it's for clarity, I don't know that you're going to find this language in the anti-harassment.
So, okay, which is why we asked for
Okay,
it. Yes.
yes.
So let's check it.
Okay.
Yes. And I think that was, we wanted to get the clarity on what was the
Okay.
language in here, so we could know, would that cover?
Yes.
That's what I said.
Okay, so, two things to do
Round
here.
mountains to do that.
Yes, two things to do here. Dr. Reed, while we still have you on, we got a second packet, because you know, it's the gift that keeps on
There
giving.
you go.
Yes,
But it's not many. And so if we can go through those, then I think we'll make it through all of the policies. And then we can circle back to the anti-harassment one, if that's okay with you, Ms. Kelly
That's
and
fine.
Dr.
I
Moore?
gotta find my anti-arrest.
Okay.
That's that small one.
Yeah, so the second little folder that I gave you,
We did not get to state
It is
that
right.
on. Yeah.
yes, so, yep, this is, so we'll have,
This is short.
Did I miss something in there?
no, well,
Here it is.
yes, that's your cheat sheet. We call it a cheat sheet, Dr. Moore. So we've got several here. Yeah, and there's one. Was that your? No, it's not. Okay. Okay, so the first one is that one right there.
That's me in front.
So 32.
That's my cheat sheet, come on.
Yes, 3220 is the first one.
Right.
And it covers the teacher appreciation, the policy has been revised to reflect House Bill 1266 to clarify that the teacher appreciation grant may be used to pay the federal insurance contributions, or the FICA, and Indiana State Teachers Retirement Fund costs associated with distributing this stipend. That's new. So I think that's the only added piece to this. That language did not exist prior to. And I think you'll see that in green on the last
It
page.
is.
Yeah.
So now they're not only saying how we determine who gets that, but they've added that we can use those funds in addition
To make sure that we cover the FICA and the retirement fund.
and it still is only limited to 20%.
That part has not changed. You are correct.
Okay.
There's nothing that's changed about
So
that.
each corporation can only submit 20%, no more than 20% of their teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back to these designation categories again for who gets what level of stipend.
You are correct. And I will remind you that this year we did not take it because
We did not.
we felt like the designations, there was not a lot of clarity. We didn't want to get into, 20% is not a lot. And so, we did not move this past year. That's not to say we're not moving next year, but as a point of reference, we felt like there was a lot of information that we weren't ready to say. And we worked closely with PCTA. We asked for their feedback on how they wanted us to proceed,
Right,
and they asked us
ask their
to.
members, and they
Mhm.
asked us not to participate.
Yeah.
But
Is
with,
clarity this year coming?
Well, I think that we will continue to work with PCTA on how to best address the TAG grant, because they have made it very
Cut and dry.
yes, but it's not so cut and dry, Dr. Moore, because what may be considered as a recognition designation
Could
for
change.
one who maybe teaches math or reading, how do you view that designation for someone, for example, who teaches physical education? I think that there are lots of dynamics that need to be hashed out.
because they
Quasi.
let you include test scores, they let you include student achievement data.
Yes.
Whereas physical, like she was saying, a physical education or a CT, well, depending on what they designate as the particular levels, what can be used to, as a benchmark for that.
Yeah.
Because you could
Yeah.
say, well, this many students passed, I learn, or I read, but then the PE teacher may not have had.
Well, I thank you all for not causing discrepancy among teachers in the district for not doing that. So that's great.
Yeah.
I think,
In
I
other
trust-
districts, it did have to where it was to the point where some teachers did not even attempt to receive it because of the process they had to go through to get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything we're missing here, Dr. Reed? With 3220.01?
I don't believe so. I think you have everything covered.
Yeah. Okay.
I just got finished with a week-long training on AI.
Mm-hmm.
From 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon.
Ooh. Oh, that's the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll move from 3220.01
So
to
are we holding on this or?
No.
No, I think we ought to stay under the jurisdiction of how they move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think, if they held it back this year, or last year, I think the jurisdiction of the decision should rest with them based on the policy
Speak
right
to
now.
them again.
We
And see.
definitely will. I mean, because it's going to impact, as long as it continues to impact teachers, we're definitely always going to reach out and work with PCTA
And they're
on
involved
that.
in the new rubric process.
Yes,
and all
there
of
was an
that.
entire committee
So-
that worked for months on trying to get that through. So, okay, so the next policies, to Dr. Reed's point, all are in some way, shape, or form revised based on the use of AI. But for a fiscal planning standpoint, 6210, which is what you should see next, right? Yes. The green part down at the bottom, in speaking with Dr. Young about this, there are times where we use general terms to avoid having to go back to the policy to correct it. So in the past, we've used superintendent or designee, so that gives the superintendent the leeway to say, okay, I'm going to make Dr.
And you're gonna allegate it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so if you two are okay, we'll move forward with using the superintendent and designee, and or designee to that line.
No problem.
Okay?
It makes sense.
Right.
Alrighty.
That is- yeah.
Okay, so 754003, 754004, 754009, and I'm gonna stop there. These are all policies that have been modified to provide appropriate guardrails for AI and the use by the corporation, employees, and students. Several of these policies address provisions in House Bill 1408.
Yeah.
And then policy 7544 is the use of social media, but I want to speak to you separately about that one. So for student technology and 7540.03, I believe if you turn the page here, expectations for reasonable use.
There's nothing up here we need to check or do anything.
No.
No.
No, more so, take a look at the green on page, what is 3 and 4?
The lower bottom.
Yes, yes.
Students must disclose the use of extent of AI assistance in any submitted work as required by their teacher. Okay?
Can we take out as required by teacher and we say we're submitting? Because to me, if you don't, just because the teacher didn't ask for it and you used AI, that's still, that needs to be, citing your sources needs to be a practice anyway. If, can we strike the as required by teacher and just make it AI assistant submitted on any work, period?
Dr. Rita, are we able to manipulate the green?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Moore?
Could you repeat that, Ms. Kelly?
So, like it says, students must disclose the use and the extent of AI assistance on any submitted work as required by their teacher. I would like to strike as required by their teacher and just leave it as any submitted work, period.
Teachers giving them permission to use AI.
No, I'm saying, but you gotta submit that you used it and how you used, I mean, you're documenting and citing where it came from.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and I
Okay.
agree with you, but could I give this to you?
Oh, go ahead.
So we're living in the age of AI. And I think Dr. Bishop said some weeks ago that AI is going on. If you don't have it, I don't know how you worded that, Dr. Bishop. How did you word that? About a month ago, that something you said about AI was going to be moving on. If you don't move on, you're going to be passed by.
Yes.
I think that's
mean,
what you
I
said.
think the nature of how quickly it's changing, I think the only consideration I would have in this, Ms. Kelly, is that there is a wide range of subjects that are taught in school, and I'm going to use the high school as an example, where I don't know that taking that out and saying that we want all students to state or include that that they used AI is necessarily, from an English standpoint, required. What about the student that's in HVAC? What about the student that is in a pathway hands-on? Are we saying in our policy that we're asking them to do this? If they were involved in some type of assignment that is written, are we asking that? Am I understanding that correctly? Is that your, I want to make sure I'm understanding.
I understand what Dr. Kelly is saying. It ought to be a natural piece of a student.
Because if we're going to use it,
But let me say it this way. Dr. Reed, say it another way. As I'm trying to evaluate it, maybe you could say it another way. After coming out of an AI week.
I think we have to teach the students how to use it to help them learn. Ethically, you shouldn't copy and paste, of course. And that goes back to encyclopedia use. But it is ingrained in businesses now, and we need to make sure that our students can use it appropriately, given the right prompts. I can see Dr. Bishop's example of an HVAC program. If I am studying that, and I do this with YouTube, if there's something I don't understand, I want to get more information, and AI really can lead you through some step-by-step things that maybe a trainer or a teacher would get tired of going over and not be as patient. And so, also, I do want to point out that there are packages that will evaluate if it's an AI, but I was in a session last week where the presenter said she ran her thesis through AI, and it said that it was 90%, something like that, AI produced. She did that thesis before AI even existed.
Yeah.
So they're not reliable. Teachers tend to know students' writing, even if they're not physically in their class. I know the difference because of discussions, and I know how someone writes, and if they turn in something that is a higher level, and there are patterns in people's writings that they use. So,
Dr. Reed, but the way the sentence is written, it affords the teacher because it reads on any submitted work as required by the teacher. So if I'm an HVAC and I'm not requiring it, then I would still fall under this policy. But if I'm an English teacher and I'm requiring that you do this, then you're required to do it under this policy. Am I reading that
Right.
correctly?
yes, the teacher would make the rules for reporting,
Okay.
or
So
not.
My understanding by the teacher being involved is getting the student to understand the process of AI, and eventually understanding the process of AI, and eventually adapting to sentence structure, paragraph structure, etc. And so I'm for, as it relates to the involvement of the teacher, introducing AI to a student in a larger level. I understand what you're basically saying. When you and I came along, that innate ability was something that was put in us to automatically have that type of ability in us. But today, this is a different student. It's a
But I guess
total-
even like, I've completed 2 master's programs. In both programs, it didn't matter what the professor said. I didn't care, it didn't matter where the information came from. If you cited something,
Mhm.
you had to say where that idea came from.
And do a footnote.
Or whatever your
Yeah.
style of documentation. I'm not saying the teachers, all the more being involved in helping students understand. So I get that piece, but not having it doesn't take all that. I just don't want anybody to say, oh, student, it doesn't take all that. You don't need to do that.
Mhm.
No,
Especially if it is a class that would require that.
Mm.
If we're leaving it up to their discretion, they may say, "Oh, and I'm not saying, and I don't know what our training in terms of our teachers' expectations on how students are using AI and they have access to Magic School. So then within Magic School, what's come from Magic School, what's come from outside sources, what's come from the student's brain and the material. And then when they're
Magic School is really locked down, and I'm impressed with that program
I
of
like
helping
it.
teachers
I like it.
help students because it gives immediate feedback.
Yeah.
but then they have to cite, Magic School helps you cite
Yeah,
wherever it
I agree
came
with you.
from. So, but incorporating that into our daily habits, as Dr. Moore was saying,
Right.
or if we leave the verbiage as it is,
Mhm.
making sure we have something still saying the expectation is, as much as possible, we're documenting.
Yeah,
Where it came
I also
from.
think that it's called, the management of the classroom, or the management of the syllabus. It's about the teacher and how they manage their classroom, or how they manage their syllabus. As
Yes.
it relates to that.
But I guess, or I'm going to remind you all
We
that the
can leave
current
the language.
policy already has us giving students very specific parameters
Okay,
of
and I guess
when.
that's where
Yeah.
I'm wanting to make sure that is not left
Yes,
out.
yeah, so part of the policy that's already here is that we give them very strict parameters
Yeah.
on when they can use it, which is A through E.
Mhm.
Agree
And
with
that teachers have to give them permission to do so. And that I think that piece of it has already been in the making of when we brought the AI policy in place.
Okay.
Yep.
Because there may be certain assignments the teacher may say, I don't
Want
want
you to
this
use it.
assignment. I need you to do old school
Yeah,
research.
Yeah,
This, because that's a lost art as well.
it is.
So I guess thinking
Mhm.
still in my classroom mode, how AI affects, like you said, classroom management, my syllabus,
Yeah.
all
Yes.
of those things. And then when am I going to allow it? When am I not
Mhm.
going to allow it?
Mhm.
And then I get having the discretion. I just want to make the parameters
Yeah.
are the wheels
Mhm.
and guardrails are there.
Yes, and I think when you get to the other piece that's added to this, if you'll take a look at the last page, which I think to me is, I'm glad that they added this piece in there, Dr. Reed, is the use of AI to create images.
students are prohibited from using AI
Right.
to bully,
Yes, yes,
harass, threaten,
yes. So we have
impersonate, or
long started to, well, I'm not going to say, but we are starting to see more often than not necessarily always in a school setting, but AI generated videos that look like
Yes.
certain individuals, sound like certain individuals, and now this aspect of the policy is now included in it, and I think it is very much needed.
I saw that.
Absolutely, because it is very easy for AI to do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it can be very psychologically damaging.
Yep.
So
To children.
Yes,
covers
that's
that.
new.
Yeah,
Yep.
because that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think we're doing well.
Yep.
I think we need to, this is a good policy.
Even certain, to the point where, you know, there are certain disclaimers even on social media that say underneath at the bottom, this is an AI generated ad or an AI generated post.
I think
or,
what's so dynamic about this is, I think Dr. Reed gives us a good foundation for going forward, is that if it's at all possible, there needs to be a platform in our district for teachers to create a space in classroom management for AI. I don't know if that makes sense. Dr. Reed, what do you think?
Yeah, first we have to train teachers.
That's my point exactly.
But I think there's some.
And administrators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody needs, that deals with students need to understand
Well, I'm just an old Baptist preacher.
this
I was-
machine doesn't think,
Yeah.
it recognizes patterns.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And the more patterns you put in, if you use it for yourself, the more patterns you put in, it recognizes and then can predict what you might want to do next.
Yeah.
It is, it would look different for an English teacher than a science teacher. And it can save your teachers a great deal of time. Doesn't take away their creativity or their knowledge, but they can put all the parameters in, and they can get more ideas. Because sometimes if you've taught something for 10 years, your ideas can get stale because students change, culture changes. And just refreshing, you can put an old lesson in and say, please update this and use these resources, because it knows books even. And it saves teachers a great deal of time, and I think it enriches their
Creativity.
offerings.
Creativity.
So I guess, because I think I saw one of the sessions in Elevate Ed has some AI training
Yes.
in it.
Yep.
At least one of the sessions.
Yep.
So I think that's gonna be key, our staff and teachers knowing, because across all disciplines, all departments, AI is going to be a part of it.
Yes.
But then the acceptable use, I think, is what I like too, that it's, what's the acceptable and safe use of it. I just wanted to make sure, like, with my
And
thing, I do that.
that is a
with
part
anything.
of teaching someone how to use it, is when is it acceptable?
Okay.
You're correct.
Staff technology acceptable use and safety, that too has an AI component. I think it's on like the 3rd page, or no, yep, there you go, 4th page. Where the added language talks about, and this is the staff portion of it.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah. I did glance at that.
And this particular piece also has the line on the last page, Ms. Kelly, for your reference, that students must disclose the use and the extent of AI assistance on any submitted work as required by the teacher. So it's that language is in this one again.
It's always going to be teacher supervised. Great.
So we already have this filled in, right? As
Yes.
Designate, it's
Yep.
probably designate. And
Yep.
then we chose social media.
We did, but I'm gonna talk with you about the social media policy
Separate.
separately, because we've always fallen back on this, but now
There's a new one.
it's new to us.
Okay.
So we'll talk about that one next.
But it is currently checked.
Yeah. So 7540.09, that's the actual replacement policy. It replaces the language and is much more. Anything you want to add to this, Dr. Reed? Because I feel like when we went through it, it is much more thorough. Like lots of green, hashes out a lot of things as it relates to AI. And now that we've got years under our belt of usage and things that could potentially not go as we would like for them to.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes, you're absolutely correct, and I anticipate that this will be at least an annual update because it's going so quickly.
Yep. Yep.
Changes every day.
Yep. Okay, so the last one that I wanted you to take a look at is 7544. That's
it's
it's actually a replacement policy.
Okay.
Yep. 7544, we actually have not had as a policy. And I can't answer why we haven't. I don't know why we have not had policy 7544. But 7544 is the use of social media. And I wanted you to take a look at all of the options that are available there as it relates to social media. Currently, the district has social media that we use. We use X, Instagram, and Facebook. So those would be 3 areas that this social media policy would fall under. Dr. Reed, do you have any feedback on this? We're coming into this new. I mean, we've had guidelines, unspoken guidelines, I guess you could say. But thoughts on this particular policy?
Because right now, I know the settings on certain things are set where you can't, to prevent bullying and some other things, you can't respond to certain things, or you can't respond in a certain way. And the controls are set to not accept a post if it's not within the perimeters or guidelines of the district. So I know we have that already, and this would just maybe bolster. If I think the biggest thing would be the bullying and things that takes place on social media, or the AI generated images, because now there's so much that we were not able to do or see before that now we need. We may not have needed it before, but now I think we do need the separate.
Yes.
To cover whether we did in the past, because of where we are now in the state of things. We need this to go forward.
Any feedback or guidance that you can share with us, Dr. Reed, in your communication or works with other districts pertaining to this particular policy?
You are the first district that I've spoken to about this policy.
Okay.
The others felt like they could go through it on their own because I'd already done the 38-2 with them.
Yes.
But my feeling is it just lays out specifically some rules, standards of conduct for employees and volunteers on social media, on the school's social media platforms. And my experience with social media with just a handful of teachers was that I had to do some corrective, and I wasn't even quite sure if I was legally allowed to do that, but I did it anyway. Because, you have to consider your First Amendment rights.
Yeah.
And I wish we didn't even have social media, to be
Yes, it
honest.
is definitely.
I know it's convenient, and I use it to keep in contact with family far and wide and friends. And I also look up, like when I was hiring people, I would look on their social media, their personal social media accounts to see if there are any red flags. But, this provides you with, many options to tighten up your social media.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I like about it, is the tightening up of social media. And even the platforms that we're connected to, it's going to give you some opportunity to even disconnect from some of those and be limited in how you allow those to enter your platform.
Right,
You know,
yeah, because
when you look at X,
you designate who
God.
can post,
Yeah.
information on there. And I don't know that many school systems allow all teachers to post. I think they might let them have a page on their website, for information, but I don't know if every school corporation allows every teacher to, communicate through social media. I think they have to send it to someone who is responsible for posting the school's information. Is that correct, Dr. Bishop?
It is, and now with the use of Parent Square, we really want our communication to occur there. But there are times, all of our schools have the ability to have a school, for example, X account, where messaging may go out for school events and those types of things. That has been our past practice. And then, of course, teachers may have their own personal accounts, but aren't related to the school.
But there's a person at each building that's
Yes.
assigned to that.
Yes. So I think for our intention purposes, we would just need to go through this document and decide what you would want checked and what you don't. Because this, if I hear you both correctly, you want to move forward with the use of this policy.
I do.
Okay.
It's a good policy.
Just
Okay.
because.
It's a good policy. I mean, this is the first time it's coming to fruition, so we better, it's better, you can always improve the policy, is that right?
Yes.
Yep. So I would say the first option here is that the school board authorizes the use of social media to promote community involvement and facilitate effective communication with students, parents, guardians, staff.
Right?
And do you want to include "and the general public"?
I do.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
Okay. So we would check that.
because especially if you want your community to know what your district is doing
Most
Correct.
definitely, yeah.
and how those dollars, like, so now if we want to put out a referendum update or whatever,
Yep.
community, so including, so we're changing this to community instead of volunteers.
I think if including volunteers and so that's the question. Do we want to including? Do we want to also include our volunteers?
I would say community,
Okay.
and then it's everybody.
Yep.
Is that?
Yeah.
fine with you? Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So then down at the two more paragraphs down, in designating corporation approved social media platforms, the superintendent shall specify which platforms are appropriate for use at the corporation level, the building level, or department level. We have the option of checking that or not. So do you want the superintendent to make a determination on what the approved platforms are?
I think in the kingdom you should. Yeah.
Okay, so we would check
Take
that
word from
box.
him.
Then the next option that we would want to take a look at is towards the bottom. It says that the corporation should consult with their legal counsel concerning the First Amendment implications associated with using social media that permits public comment. So option 1 is the corporation uses approved social media platform sites as interactive forms of communication, or you can choose option 2, which reads, the corporation uses appropriate social media platform sites as interactive forms of communication, and you can either you could check and accepts or invites, welcomes public comment. We can choose all or none. And would you want to leave it with option 1 or option 2?
So the difference is people can comment on both options, or that's because with interactive forms of communication, that means you can go back and forth, or
So
you're just allowed to like.
is that, yes, I think, Dr. Reed, what would be the difference if the line says, as interactive forms of communication? What would be the difference between that and option 2 is very specific and says that we could potentially check accepts, invites, or welcomes?
There isn't a difference in that section. What option 2 does is expand and gives the school authority over employees' personal posts on
Okay,
public
okay,
platforms. That is something that
We don't want.
Then
Yeah,
that
let's
gets into
just-
the First Amendment
I don't
stuff,
know.
too.
yeah,
That's
I
not
had a
First
teacher
Amendment. It's First
who
Amendment.
was a high school teacher, very attractive lady, but she constantly posted on her personal site, and she allowed students to be her friend, of herself in a hot tub, in a bikini, drinking,
oh,
and I took issue with that. And I said, if it's your right to post whatever, but I don't think it's your right to have students on your friends until they graduate.
And who's gonna be policing all of that?
oh,
And who has time to police all of that?
Well, sometimes when parents bring it to your
Right.
attention,
Right.
That's a
parents,
different ballgame.
please.
yes, yeah,
And as they should, what their children are looking at.
Right,
well,
but then
to
they want someone to fix it.
To Dr. Reed's point, and even in the notating, what we could do is ask Miss Carriage if there is anything that we need to be aware
I
of.
would agree with that.
Okay, and that way we'll come back to choosing option 1 or 2,
Yeah.
and I'll speak with Miss Carriage about giving us some
Okay.
additional information. But there are lots of additional choices here, but what we could do is just have her take a look at all of it, all in one swoop. That way, any additional questions in the writing, we'll have that from her, and then we can come back to this one.
Yeah, this is pretty sticky.
Yeah. So I'll.
It also prevents a teacher from responding to a parent, and because, as it says in the policy, it can be misconstrued as board-sponsored speech. Employees answering their opinion rather than the facts.
Yes.
And we already have some of that with some things that we don't have, like some of the social media that is created by parents. People respond,
Well, yes, and
but that, we can't control that part, but I'm saying there's enough to with the content we created that we need to control.
yes, and
To what extent?
even just recently, Dr. Reed, with the litigation between the Ball State administration and the professor that was terminated
Yes,
based on
recently.
her personal social media post. Of course, there was no winners and losers from the standpoint that it didn't go to to a hearing, but she is going to be paid for this particular action because she was terminated based on that. So all that to say that I think we will reach out to our attorney to help guide us in the right direction to avoid any potential
Lawsuits.
missteps because of wording and those types of things.
And she can
I would
give us,
agree.
Yep,
give
okay.
us appropriate wording
Yep.
if we need to change it.
Okay, so I don't have anything and we made it.
Yes,
Dr. Reed, I cannot thank you enough for your time.
Yes.
I will circle back to you just to kind of give you where we landed on a couple of these, especially the social media one, just as a point of reference for you when we finalize it. But I continue to thank you for your time. We'll look forward to transitioning to the new platform, and of course we'll have our training completed, but I'll certainly reach out as we learn our way with the new platform.
I'm happy to help you in any way, Dr. Bishop.
Okay, alrighty, well thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
all of your help today.
Thank you.
Thank
Everybody
you.
have a nice day.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
You too.
Okay, that can get dicey.
I missed my appointment today. Stacey Abrams. Was it Friday? Yeah, 10:30.